Hi, my name is Dominique, and I am going to talk about muscle tissues. When you think of muscles, you probably imagine someone very strong working out their biceps at the gym. But there is actually much more about muscle tissues that you need to know, and I am here to explain it to you. So, we have three types of muscle tissues in our bodies: smooth, cardiac, and skeletal. And we're going to focus in this last one, the skeletal muscle tissue. I made a 3D model of the tissue for you to get to know it. I used modern clay to build up the structure of the muscle and let it dry all night. In the morning, I covered it with colored modern clay and attached the pieces using metal strings. Finally, I stick the larger pieces with glue. Now that you have made a tissue, I bet that you want to know more about it, and we're getting to it. Skeletal muscles cover our skeleton and give our body its shape. There are over 650 skeletal muscles in our bodies that attach to the bone either directly or via tendons. Skeletal muscles produce voluntary movements by pulling on the bones of the skeleton. Voluntary movements are the ones that we can control, like extending limbs or running. Skeletal muscles also maintain the posture in our body. They also form sphincters in the digestive and the urinary tract to allow swallowing and urination. These muscles help us maintain the body temperature by releasing heat as a byproduct of muscle contraction. Skeletal muscles also protect our organs. Moving on, we are talking about the structure of the skeletal muscle, which involves lots and lots of layers. So let's get to it. First, thousands of tiny threads called myofibrils squished together to form muscle fibers, which are the actual muscle cells that contain multiple nuclei, unlike the other types of muscle cells. They also have a striped appearance, and they also have a cellular membrane called a sarcolemma. They are surrounded by a sheath of connective tissue called the endomysium. Those muscle fibers then form larger bundles called fascicles, which are surrounded by a layer of connective tissue called the perimysium. Multiple fascicles group together to form a larger structure that is surrounded by another sheath of connective tissue called the epimysium. So this group of fascicles, along with blood vessels, nerves, and all tissues, forms an skeletal muscle. It's not really that complicated. That was just the structure part, but we obviously want to know how we actually move our bodies. Each muscle is rigged up with its own personal nerve to stimulate contraction. For a skeletal muscle to be able to contract, it needs to be activated by the somatic nervous system. So a muscle contraction begins with a signal from the nervous system. And what happens after that? Well, remember that we were talking about the myofibrils earlier? So the myofibrils contain myofilaments, which are organized into units called sarcomeres. The sarcomeres are the ones that give the muscle fiber its straight appearance, and they are the smallest functional unit in the muscle. A muscle contracting is all about sarcomeres contracting. Taking a closer look into its structure, we can notice that it contains myofilaments of two types: thinner actin filaments and thicker myosin filaments, and the sliding of these filaments past one another is what produces the contraction. And now you know what actually happens inside your body while doing an activity as simple as holding a glass of water. And you also know everything you need to know about the skeletal muscle tissue. So thanks for watching.